Welcome everybody. Nice to see you here on this rainy Thursday. Um, and as I told Sarah, if we were truly in the classroom, we may be having some donuts. So this was round, so I hope you get the idea of round table discussion. So this is going to be pretty informal. We'll just have whoever would like to bring up a topic about a tool that they have used. We'll discuss that, and then we'll just move on to the next one and go right around the room. So who would like to start? Who would like to start talking about something that they learned or a tool that they learned about this semester and are using and what their successes have been, maybe even what kind of challenges they had, so that we can pass this information on to anyone else that's listening to this. So who'd like to begin? Don't be shy.
Well, I raised my hand there.
Oh, yes, you
I
did.
started with the Ultra, and I recorded all of my lectures, and the response has been very good from the students. So I'm very pleased with that.
All right. So did you have any problems getting set up, or did your students have any issues?
No, I had Joe right beside me.
Oh, okay. So you got it
Yes,
set up.
initially the first time, I'm one of those type of learners that I've got to get my hands dirty. That's the
Sure,
way I learn.
sure.
And so with Joe's help, I was able to get through, and then it was very simple, straightforward. What I will say is I've also tried Zoom, and that has not been very successful. While I'm teaching totally online, I have set up that on a weekly basis, I have time that I've set aside where I will have a Zoom conference.
Uh-huh.
The response has been zero.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Well, is
I
it
keep doing
because
it.
of the tool, or perhaps because of the time? Because I do Zoom office meetings, and my response is not good either. However, I have a blended class and I use Zoom, and that's fine. So it may not be the tool.
Well, no, I don't think it's a tool. I just
Okay.
don't think that they're responding because I set up a particular time, but I record it and I send it out to them. I also, in that recording, stress that, hey, I know that not everybody can make this time. So, get to me if you have any issues. We can set up, by email, or we can have a personal Zoom, but no response. So I just don't know.
Okay. So
I can't.
I'm curious, why did you choose Zoom for your office hour instead of Collaborate?
It was much easier for me with Zoom. I'm using it for a whole bunch of courses.
Okay. Okay.
So
What
don't
else?
confuse me with facts.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think I did enough.
Oh, no, that's great, John. So this was the first semester you've used it?
No, I've used Zoom before.
No, I mean Collaborate Ultra.
Oh, Collaborate, yes. I'm
Okay.
really happy with it.
Very good. Okay. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add to what John said about Collaborate? It may not have been the tool that you used, but anything else you'd like to add? Please just go ahead.
I have two other tools that I started using that I think are promising. I think I'd have to use them a little bit more.
Okay.
I started with them this semester. So I'm using Doodle for the classes that I'm embedded in for students to book appointments directly with me.
Mm-hmm.
We have a general process just for any students who are kind of wandering to the library, and they don't necessarily need to work with a specific librarian. But I needed something for the students I am working with. So I switched to Doodle. I had tried to use Sign Up Genius, I think last semester, and I wasn't crazy about that process. I'm having a lot more luck with Doodle. There's just a little bit of compatibility issue sometimes with my calendar and things like that, but it's pretty smooth, and I don't think it's too clunky for students. So I'm hoping to keep doing that until we get something else potentially as a department. And then the other thing I've been using, I started using Slack with my
You
student
did.
group.
Mhm.
Yeah, Bad Apple Book Club.
Right.
And I'm really, really hopeful that's something that might catch on. I'm having a little bit of engagement issues with the club in general, so we'll see what goes. But it was really simple to set up. And I think it's a nice way for us to discuss because we're having issues meeting together. So I'm hoping that turns out to be something. But those are my two kind of promising successes.
That's great. I use Doodle. I don't know. I think Joe uses Doodle, and I don't know if Sarah uses Doodle, but you know, when we went remote, we each set up a Doodle and have it in our signature so anybody can book an appointment. I did notice that that from time to time you do have to go and kind of recalibrate it with your calendar, because did you see that too? Did you have that issue?
I have issues with the time zone, like it switches to a different time zone when it puts the
Oh,
appointment on my calendar. And then
uh-huh.
sometimes too, I have the notifications going to a different email. And I'm not crazy about changing it to my work email.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes like I want to make sure I acknowledge the appointment and that they're not just putting appointments on my calendar that I don't know about until I get the little reminder. So there's a little bit of that there. That's more just my process. I think not quite working, but
Right.
Joe asked me
Yeah.
about. We tried early on. We had some difficulties with it. I personally am really interested in some sort of productivity tool, project management kind of tool. But we've had our struggles with Teams. And even this past week, it has completely locked me out. All of the teams I was part of, I can't get into. My
Wow.
files are now, I can only get into them through SharePoint, even though they were set up in Teams. So it's been really challenging for us to try to use Teams, but I'm interested in it. I just don't know what to do with it, nor do I have the time at the moment to try to figure out exactly how it works and how to make it work for us, and then how to get everybody else on board with it.
Well, we use Teams regularly. You know, we have been using that since we went remote, and it really has been a lifesaver, you know, for our team. So maybe you just need to sit down with one of us. I'd be happy to, or Sarah or Joe, any of us. We could all sit down together and help you with Teams if you like, because it really is great. You can put all your files, save all your files, and yes, they do save in SharePoint, whether you realize it or not. But any files that you send through Teams do get saved to SharePoint. So, you know, I wouldn't think too much about SharePoint. I think about the teams, but you can find any files that are within that team that you set up. You'll be able to find those files. You can also download them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know that, but if you want us to sit with you sometime, we'd be happy to do that.
I would love that. I keep mentioning it to my director, like, you know, this would potentially be a good training for us to have as a staff, or even just a smaller department. And I'm also the one that keeps putting it on your feedback after your sessions about like,
okay. Yes. All right. So we'll set up, Sarah, we'll set up a Teams.
We'll get it on the calendar. Is there a specific time that would work best for your department? Like if you're particularly looking for it?
I can't really schedule something on behalf of my department. So let me take it back to them and see. But if you just have like a general session, I'm pretty sure it's not just my department that could benefit from something like that.
Yeah.
And even if it's not necessarily a training, more just like best practices, how online learning has found that it works for you and your project.
Sure.
Even that would be something beneficial, I think.
Sure. We can't live without our teams.
We mostly use the chat feature versus the
lot.
like Teams section, like the putting people on Teams, but even just the chat has been wonderful.
Yeah, because we can't get up and walk across the hall to somebody's office and talk to them anymore. So the chat, I mean, it's a good thing that chat has never gone out on us. We'd be lost. But we do send information, you know, through Teams that way too. It keeps us on track. So that would be a great training.
Yeah, I used something before called Basecamp at my other
Oh,
other
yeah.
institution, and I missed that. And we were also a
Oh,
Google organization that we migrated to, so like missing some of that collaborativeness.
yes.
And the flood of emails is rough.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to know. So we definitely will schedule a Teams. Actually, that was something that we wanted to do anyway, just never got around to it. So we'll set one up. Great. Great. Thanks, Diane. Who else is next? Who else would like to chat? Who's left? Karen, anything to add?
Well, I have to say this discussion is different than I thought it was going to be.
Oh,
So,
is
um,
that good or bad? I don't
it's good. I'm learning some things, but I didn't realize we were going to be talking about the tools. I thought it was more about like working remotely and that sort of thing. But in
That's
terms of the
absolutely
tools,
welcome here too.
We can,
Like-
absolutely.
in terms of the tools, I actually think Zoom is awesome
Mm,
for doing meetings, especially meetings where you have to do breakout rooms,
yes.
because I've been facilitating a lot of those lately, and it's really so easy to do.
Mhm.
So I like that. I was I just finished as a student at DeSales University, just finished my MBA. And as a student using Blackboard, it was interesting for me to hear your conversation about as a faculty member or an instructor using Blackboard. Because as a student, it's pretty easy.
Mhm.
But do we offer classes for our faculty members on how to use Blackboard? Because it seems like it's a little bit difficult to figure out on the back end.
Well, what we have done in the past, anytime there's been a major change, we've done a mass training. Now we just, especially for new faculty or anyone new to the college, we do a lot of one-on-ones if you need it. Um, we have done some tier training. We did it last summer. I don't know if we'll be offering it again. That's something that falls under you, right, Sarah?
Yes, so we'll probably be talking about what our summer
The
offerings are going to look like soon. We do
Right.
have a online 101
101.
training that in theory everyone needs to go through to teach online. As well as every semester we do offer like the Blackboard basics kind of workshops, and then as we get questions about specific elements, we'll often schedule a quick tip or a brush up on the grade book, or we have one coming up soon because comparing the current state of Collaborate Ultra to the previous state of Collaborate Ultra. I don't think they've made huge changes, but over the course of the year, some things look a little different.
Okay,
Yeah.
very
So,
good. That's good to know.
and if at any time, if you would like, a one-on-one, please just reach out to us. We'd be happy, to go through Blackboard with you, especially from the instructor angle. There's so much to learn in Blackboard. You can't possibly learn it in one setting. So we do, like Sarah mentioned, at the beginning of the semester, we always start out with the class in Blackboard for new users and go through like some of the basics. And then throughout the semester, we pick different topics. Like Sarah mentioned, there's a little bit of an upgrade. John, you'll be happy to hear this, a little bit of an upgrade to Collaborate. So we'll be showing what that upgrade is. We also do a session on Grade Center, because for instructors, it's really, important that you have a good grasp on Grade Center so you can get your grades in there. And then any other, changes or tools that come along, we, most definitely will do a class on. But look for the tier training, Karen, you might like that. And they're just, if it's the same as it was done the first time, it's just 1 week of each topic. There were 3 tiers, and it's 1 week per tier. It's a little bit intensive, but you'll learn about discussion boards and things like that, and go all the way up to using tools in tier 3. So
Sounds
that's
good.
something
Thank
to keep
you.
in mind.
Yep,
I hope that helped.
it did. Thank you.
Good. Oh, Diane says she had a break. Yes, it looked different. Yes. And Collaborate Ultra is trying to beef up to, compare to Zoom. They're supposed to be adding more screens. You can only see 4 screens at one time, 4 videos at one time. They're supposed to be really, really adding more. And the same thing applies to Teams. Teams, you can now see, I think in the big classroom, it's like 49. So Collaborate, though, is our tool in Blackboard. That's the one that you should go to, as long as you're comfortable with it. It's really not necessary for you to use Zoom, but if you like it, use Zoom. But Collaborate is adding new features all the time. Sarah, do we have a date for that Collaborate? I thought I saw it on.
Yes, it is coming up. Continue. I will pull up the date now.
Okay. Yeah, I know we put it
I want
on.
to say it's actually, wait, no, it's
April?
It's like next week. I think it might be Thursday, next Thursday.
Oh, right. There you go. So just look for it. Look for an announcement on what the topic will be. Hopefully it will be Collaborate next week or the week after, and you'll see what changes are made.
April 1st. No joke.
Oh, okay. So that's next. Well,
it's not
on
next week,
Thursday.
it's the following
Next week. 2 weeks.
Next week is Advanced Echo.
Right. 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today. All right. What other tools? Any other tools? I know, Diane, you've been to many of the trainings, and John, you as well. And Diane, you mentioned several of them. I believe you were at the Slack training, and I just received something from Jen Bradley, who did that training. She sent some information over, so we'll get that posted up on our website or where we keep our videos, so that you can have access to it.
That training was like perfect timing, because that was like the 3-day span where I was trying to set it up for Bad Apple Book Club. So it was just perfect timing.
Great. That Bad Apple, isn't that the one in Monroe?
Right now, I'm trying to encourage that we're across campuses, but we're traditionally a Bethlehem student club.
What book are you doing in that?
We picked the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle this semester. I'm hoping we get a discussion in. I hear from like one student here and one student there. I'm hoping if we pick a date for the discussion, people show up to it. But
yeah,
I read that book last year and really liked it.
It was interesting, and it was one of the ones that had like unanimous. Everybody who voted wanted to read it, so it was it.
Oh, that's good. That's great. All right. So what other questions or information would you like to share? Sarah, feel free to throw anything in.
So Karen, you were thinking of discussing like workflow and other work from home elements. Is there anything you had thought to bring up before it? Because our focus is on tools, because that's the focus of our training, but I would love to hear any of your other feedback and thoughts, because there's been a lot of everything this year.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think we've all learned a lot about what we can do from home and what we can't do effectively from home.
Right.
And so I think it's great that we have so many tools. I mean, Zoom is one that we've used extensively, of course. You guys talked about Microsoft Teams. I don't use Microsoft Teams, but I know some groups that do, and they really love it, especially because of the file sharing aspect of it. But I think we've all learned how these tools can enhance our work processes even when we return to normal. And so I'm thinking a lot of them are going to be part of our everyday work lives, even once things return to normal. You know, like I think Teams is a great example. And now we've got SharePoint that's, you know, the whole site, SharePoint site for the college where we move away from my NCC, moving to SharePoint. I know HR, we're ready to launch our SharePoint site already. We've got it ready to go, and it gives us a lot more, it's a lot more functionality than what we had in my NCC, which was kind of static,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, there wasn't too much engagement on my NCC.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
once in a while, someone could put up, you know, questions or polls for you to answer, but it isn't really in real time. Teams is just, you know, Teams is great
Mhm.
and immediate, I guess I should say. Good points.
One thing I find interesting is the fact that I started in August. So the only NCC I have ever known has been through this screen. I think I've been to campus maybe 3 or 4 times to pick something up.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a really interesting experience to go and be on campus. And I don't know what that's going to be like. And that's, the donuts are moving now.
Oh, oh,
To make us even more hungry.
oh,
I may have to go get donuts for lunch.
I didn't mean to make you hungry.
Yeah.
I was just looking for something round, and the
Yeah,
round
somebody was
table,
hungry.
the round table was kind of ugly. It was black and white, so this looked much more appealing.
Oh, it's perfect.
I agree, Sarah. I commend. We have 3 new team members, as you probably all know, and you know I really commend them for interviewing online, for joining the team and still being online. You know, and here we are, all of us a year later. It's almost kind of I don't know what it's going to be like when we go back, because we not only have a new team, we have new office. But, you know, as I mentioned before, Teams is what has kept us cohesive for sure. Yeah. So.
Yeah, like you, Sarah, I started remote. So I started in April of last year. So the first 3 months.
That's right.
I was fully remote. And then I started coming into the office in July because there were a number of hard copy documents that I needed to refer to. So I started coming in regularly, and I've been coming in 2 to 4 days a week ever since then. But I too am looking forward to what's the campus going to be like when it's normal, because I have not experienced it other than when I interviewed, because I did interview in person, and the campus was busy. You know, there were a lot of, there was a lot of energy, and like now I come in, and if I see 2 other people in this building, I feel excited if I run into somebody in the restroom. Oh my gosh, another person to talk to.
Right.
So
to give you perspective, trying to get into the restrooms, you know, in between classes, there's a line or you have to wait. There's always a line at the cafeteria for food, and they're always, the lounge is always filled with students and faculty and everything. So I've been back a couple of times too, and it's kind of depressing to just, walk down the hall and not see anybody.
Right, exactly.
We're so used to that. So yeah, the buzz, Joe says.
Where I sit now is where you guys used to sit, where
Oh, that's
OLET
right.
used to sit. That's where HR is now. So the office I'm in right now is Beth's old office.
Okay, that's a nice office.
It is.
That's a nice
lot of
office.
daylight. Yeah.
And in the summertime, when they have the Horizons for Youth, you can look out the window and see the kids playing games outside, and yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I think everybody's ready to just get back to some kind of normalcy and see people again.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting for me too, because we've spent now exactly a year avoiding people, like actively avoiding people. And something I wonder is how psychologically going back is going to impact everybody.
Yeah,
a lot of people are looking forward to it and are excited, but I know I'm an introvert by nature. So I'm a little bit, anxious about it. It's not that I don't want to, but the thought of going from all at home to everybody's there, I'm not quite sure how that transition is going to feel.
Yeah, there are a couple of news articles where someone said, I've been home for the whole year and now I have to go back and I'm scared. I'm not going to have the same time that I have with my children. I have to dress up again and I haven't been doing that. So yeah, we're going to have to adjust for sure.
Yeah.
I share some apprehension about that. It took me a while to be as comfortable in social situations as I was when the pandemic happened. And now I just feel like I've lost some of that confidence and that ability to be in crowds, to be around a lot of people. Even now when I'm in a place and, my spidey senses go up when there's just too many people around, or I feel like there's too many people around. And then for me, my workspace, it was kind of like in a fishbowl. And it's been really different working independently by myself this whole past year at home. So I'm also wondering what that's going to be like again when I'm working amid all this activity and amid everybody else. And also working so publicly again, like in that kind of fishbowl environment. So I'm a little apprehensive about that.
I think it's going to take a couple of days and you'll be right back into the swing of things, Diane. All right. Well, this was good. This was a good conversation talking about the state of things.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and just we have Karen, not to to diminish your role or anything, but we have 2.5 people at least in the academic environment of instruction or whatever, and I'm just curious. And Karen, if you see some things as you progressed in the last year too, but specifically for John and Diane, how do you feel in terms of your comfort level and confidence today compared to how you felt, obviously, St. Patty's Day 2020, and as it progressed through the year? Just either one of you can start first. How about you, Diane?
As far as working online, teaching online?
Predominantly, but also, how comfortable are you in the instructional setting? How do you think your students have evolved and developed more of a or less resistance to it? I don't know, but that's what I'm asking you to just sort of give us here.
Well, we had already been having some conversations about, what teaching should look like in regards to the library and research and information literacy, and how really to meet our students where they are, not necessarily when if an instructor has time to bring them in or things like that. So I think in a way it really benefited us because it pushed some of those conversations along and pushed some of that development along. I'm really, focused on like adult learning theory, and also, that kind of like point of need, giving them information. So I hope some of those things continue, and I feel far more comfortable with those ideas, having put some of that into practice already with our tutorials. And we're talking about more tutorials that we need, and mini modules and all sorts of things that are more self-paced, which I think suits library instruction and the type of teaching that we do really well, perhaps even more so than in-person large group instruction in a classroom, because our students have so many different needs, and they're coming from so many different backgrounds and experiences with research. To try to group everybody together in the same place and cover everything for them in one class period doesn't always work very well. So I think it's given us
I think we're into differentiated learning on steroids, huh?
Yeah. So
really
I'm
getting to that level of that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good question that Joe's raised. And if you take a look at it from an instructor viewpoint and then also students, from instructor, there was some trepidation going remote, but I think in all the tools of support that we've given, I'm very comfortable with remote. It's turned out to be a lot easier than I thought, but at the same time, a tremendous challenge because you've got to be there 24/7.
Mhm.
I'm finding that from the student standpoint, it's a little bit more difficult for them to grasp some of this stuff because they don't have that opportunity for immediate discussion unless you have something set up like that Zoom. That's why I'm finding Zoom so important for these remote classes, is to allow those particular students that just have to say, hey, I need to talk this out, and others they can, and I think that's part of one of the challenge of the instructor is to set up the course so that you've got not only the opportunity for people to talk, but also the opportunity for those students that just can, go and take a look at PowerPoint slides, lectures. They can do that on their own. So you meet both worlds, but you've got to be set up to do that. So
Mhm.
it's a challenge. It really is for both sides.
Thanks. Very good viewpoints. And then I have something to think about going forward as we do return to more of an on-ground classroom situation. How do both of you think you'll do, or what you'll do in the classroom differently than you used to prior to St. Patty's Day last year? And is there anything specific that you'll be looking for from our group or ITS in terms of providing certain types of equipment and or technologies in those classrooms?
I definitely am going to do something different. What I'm going to be doing is that I've found that a lot of students are very hesitant to talk in class.
Mhm.
They'll grab you after class. So I'm going to encourage, one-on-one Zoom.
Mhm.
Good.
That's
Consultation.
yeah. John, did you just teach on ground? You just taught on ground, correct?
No, I've been teaching online
You've been teaching.
for almost 20 years now.
Okay, so what have you done differently since we've been remote?
The recorded lectures, I would have PowerPoint slides for a particular chapter that they can go through and look at it. But what I've done is I've actually put together a lecture and made it a video that is available also. So they've got their opportunity, however they want to learn, they have both options.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything from you, Diane?
I know we have a lot of conversations ahead of us about what it's going to look like when we go back.
Yes.
We're not really sure how we're going to teach in the library classroom. So it's something we're going to have to figure out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's timely. I'm going to be involved in a classroom tech discussion with some admins on Friday tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about something that fortunately we've been working with for a while. We've been using the term polysync a little loosely here at the institution for a number of years. And we've created CTLT rooms with that capability, but maybe we're going to try to push a little more of that in certain ways and in certain locations at our campuses, so that we can get the concept of more hybrid teaching models in the classroom and externally simultaneously. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, but thanks. I'm actually on 2 sessions, webinars here. I'm listening to our proctoring RFB webinar. So
Is that still going, Joe?
yeah, it's still going, and I'm going to sign off of this one.
With
but
responders?
you guys coming to this one, and let's keep the conversation going, even on the back side.
Yep.
Thank
Take
you.
it easy.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you,
All
Joe.
right.
I really don't have any more to offer. And I've got a class that I've got coming up in about 15 minutes that I want to
Okay.
get started for. So thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much for setting this up. Certainly
you.
appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, John, and good luck, whichever
Right.
modality you're teaching next time.
Well, I'm looking
Whatever
forward
the-
to I want to get back on campus, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it will start opening up soon.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Get to see
Yep,
your
I hope
friends.
so.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks,
take care,
John.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Does Diane or Karen, anything else you'd like to add?
No,
I'm on my
thanks.
way out too.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think this was pretty productive, and I know, it's always helpful to hear what other people are thinking about, and it seems like you're all on the same page, for sure. So thank you very much for being here. Keep looking for all of the other sessions that we will be scheduling for you, and I'm sure we'll see you in another session soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.